You walk quietly beneath the silver hush of a cloud-veiled moon. The night is neither warm nor cold, just still and soft. Around the edges, somewhere behind you, the world you left is fading. The hum of houses, the tired yellow windows, the ticking clock that always seems to chase you. The ground dips gently, and there just past the bend in the hill stands the gate. Here, in the hush between minutes and memories, time no longer presses its thumb against your shoulder. You follow a narrow path through fields of dark grass, dew clinging to your ankles. It is wrought iron, curled like frozen vines, with flecks of rust tracing its spine. The hinges are parted wide, not fully open, but never shut, as if it once swung ajar for someone who never returned, as if it waits eternally for someone else to follow. Letters shimmer briefly. Initials, dates, a tiny etched rose. One stone reads simply, "Still loved." You step beneath it. The gravel path beyond crunches faintly under your feet. It winds between stone markers that lean like tired old men, some barely upright. Moss spills across the faces of the oldest ones, names nearly lost to weather and time. The names on them are common and unfamiliar all at once. Margaret, Thomas, written in fading ink on back pages of books, or carved in the soft wood of old furniture, as though you've walked this way before, maybe in a dream you've forgotten. You reach out and trail your fingers over its cool surface. The texture is rough, pitted with time, but steady, grounding, or in a life that's only remembered by the wind. But the air feels welcoming, not in the way a home calls you back, but in the way a story draws you in. Quiet, slow, familiar. You stop, listening. It just fades. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to think. You can simply be as you are, and the night will carry the rest. The glass is misted, and within, the flame moves like it's breathing. No wires, no matches, no footsteps nearby. Only the soft glow. The gravel gives way to earth, soft and loamy beneath your soles. Somewhere, a night bird chirps once, then goes silent. The wind brushes past your cheek like a hand that's not quite there. It is full of slow thoughts and steady roots, of gentle memories that rise like fog from the soil. Somewhere nearby, a drop of water falls from a branch to the earth. Soft, measured, present. You stoop to pick it up. It's softer than you expect, and weightless. You tuck it into your pocket without knowing why. Some things, after all, are meant to be carried, even if they're forgotten later. The moon peers through them like a shy companion, following you from afar. Stars glimmer in patches, blurred by the night's hush. You count them, not with numbers, but with feelings. One like hope, one like grief. The trees shift slightly as you pass, as if making room for your story to continue. To your left, A small lantern flickers atop a wooden post, casting a sleepy pool of amber light. You rest for a moment, not because you're tired, but because the night invites you to. No one recalls, but there it is, steady and patient, and perhaps, in some quiet way, it will always remain. So, a place between places, a breath between breaths. Their branches do not stir, even when the wind passes through. The air grows cooler here, shaded, and every sound feels just a little more distant. It does not ask if you'll return. You pause beside it. The light paints the tips of nearby gravestones in a faint gold. The air here smells of wet grass, old stone, and the faintest trace of something like lavender. It's hard to tell. You continue walking. Each step feels quieter than the last. The gate behind you doesn't creak. It doesn't shut. It just waits. You pass a row of narrow headstones, slate gray, some chipped, some bowed. A low stone wall edges the path here, blanketed in ivy that glows silver green under the moon. From somewhere deeper in the graveyard, a small chime rings out. Not loud, just a single, soft note, like a bell tugged gently, and you realize how deeply quiet everything is. Not empty, never empty, but listening. There is something about graveyards at night that asks nothing of you. You don't have to be awake. A crow's feather lies ahead on the path, black and shimmering with dew. The path bends again, curving slightly downhill where the trees thicken. Tall cypress rise around you like ancient guardians. At the base of one tree, a stone bench sits low and patient. From this vantage, you can see the gate in the distance, still open, still waiting. It feels like it always has been, not just tonight, but across centuries of misty evenings. The stillness here is different from silence. You lean your head back. Above, the sky is textured with clouds, not dark, but dim. Your breath slows. Here, no one rushes you. The graves are quiet, not because they are empty, but because they are complete. You open your eyes again, and the path calls you onward. Not loudly, just enough. You rise. The feather still sits gently in your pocket. The lantern still glows behind you. And the gate that never closes, waits behind you, silent, and it only opens, always, for whoever is ready to walk the night gently. One soft step at a time. You walk with care tonight, the path slightly damp beneath your soles. The fog has thickened since you last looked skyward. It rolls low and soft, like breath on glass, veiling the stones and grass in a pale silver hush, as though the night has drawn a blanket over everything, letting the world sleep a little more soundly beneath its folds. Each step you take presses gently into the earth and then vanishes. The graveyard feels different in fog. Not cold, not eerie, just deeper. And then you hear it. Faintly. A bell. Low. Slow. Like it's tolling underwater or from behind a veil. Not a church bell. Not quite. Something older. Smaller. Its note does not declare. It hums. Their edges blur into the fog, becoming silhouettes more than markers. You think of the names beneath them, and the lives that were once lived, warm and loud and beating, now resting in a quiet that does not ask to be disturbed. A soft resonance that floats, then fades and floats again. Here, the air grows damper, heavier, not unpleasant, but full. Like a room that hasn't been opened in years and still smells faintly of lavender. Books. It comes again, soft, measured, and strange. You walk slower now, not out of caution, but reverence. As if the bell is whispering directly into your chest. You feel it more than you hear it. Its frame is splintered and moss-covered, but the bell itself gleams slightly. Not polished, just alive. It doesn't echo. It settles. It sinks in. It swings gently, though no wind stirs it. The rope below it is frayed. You turn toward the sound. There's no clear direction. Not really. Fog doesn't let sound travel in straight lines. Not a bench, just a stone worn smooth by time and rain, and, perhaps, other visitors, who once paused here too. A single tone that does not command, does not mourn, but simply is. One has crumbled entirely. Another bears only a single letter. M. The rest are etched with dates and fragments. She waited. Wind took him. Held hands forever. It wraps it, cradles it, bends it around corners. For those not lost and not found, but drifting. But you follow anyway, because your feet already know the way, even if your mind hasn't caught up. You pass rows of gravestones, some hidden beneath bramble and ivy, some nearly swallowed by earth. Somewhere nearby, a moth flutters past, a pale blur with wings like torn parchment. The bell chimes again. It draws you in like a lullaby remembered from childhood. The kind without words, only rhythm and warmth. The fog curls around your arms and neck like an old shawl. The ground dips slightly beneath your feet. The sky above is blanketed in gray, soft and dim. It holds you gently, like it's known you longer than you've known yourself. The mist gathers along the stone like breath on cool glass. You can't see the moon, but you feel its presence. Watching through layers of mist, there's comfort in being watched, not by eyes, but by sky, by fog, by quiet things. And then you see it. She's like the dancing sea spray. You stand before it, listening. The sound is softer now, closer. Each tone sends a small ripple through your ribs, like stones skipping across the surface of a still pond. You think of old rooms, of footsteps on wooden floors, of someone humming in a far-off kitchen. You think of hands you used to hold, even if you can't remember whose. You don't ring it. Somehow, you know you're not meant to. It rings for you. Around the bell are a cluster of headstones, arranged in a gentle crescent. You sit on a flat rock beside them. The bell sways gently above you, the rope twitching like a vine in a dream. You think about how strange it is to walk so far in a world so hushed and be greeted not by voice, but by sound. A companion, not a question. Fog continues to swirl around your knees and ankles. The stillness grows thicker, richer. You imagine that perhaps the bell only rings when someone walks alone, that it doesn't toll for the end, but for the like you. You lie back, gently, letting the stone cradle your spine. The bell rings once more. You don't need to follow it anymore. It has led you exactly where you needed to be. Your thoughts drift. Not in panic or planning, but like autumn leaves across still water. The graveyard accepts these thoughts like the soil accepts rain. Quietly, patiently, you stay a little longer. And when you rise again, your body feels lighter, slower, as if something inside you has exhaled. The bell does not ring again, but that's all right. It only needed to ring until you listened. You turn and walk back into the fog, footsteps soft, leaving no trace. Your steps tonight are slower, not tired, just unhurried. The air has grown heavier, full of moisture and quiet. They don't need to. Their presence is steady, old as the earth, and they ask nothing from you but to keep walking. It smells of stone and something faintly floral, like the echo of a garden that once bloomed nearby. The fog still lingers, trailing behind your heels like a sleepy companion. The fog parts in layers, and ahead, under the faint glow, you see her. You pass through a patch of low headstones, each one drowsing beneath a crown of ivy or moss. None speak. One wing is half folded, the other curves gently outward, protecting something unseen. Her hands are open. Her head is bowed. The gravel path curves slightly uphill, and the trees thin just enough to let moonlight slip through. An angel. And yet, despite the years and seasons, her face holds a serenity. She stands in a clearing where no branches dare grow, her figure carved from stone. And though she is carved from rock, her presence feels soft, almost lit. You approach slowly. From a distance, she looks nearly flawless, like something placed here by a dream. But up close, you see the weathering. Cracks across her shoulder, faint erosion, near the edges of her gown, letting your breath slow to match the rhythm of this place, the rhythm of her silent vigil. Lichen grows along her base. Vines curled delicately around her feet. You feel it even before you reach her, a stillness that reaches inside you. Her eyes are closed, not broken, just sleeping. Her wings, though still, seem as though they once moved, as though, under the right kind of silence, they still might. Not yours, not now, but maybe once. Maybe in some other dream. Not to fly, not to flee, to breathe. The angel stands above, not looming, but sheltering, like a lullaby made solid. A presence that exists not to watch, but to witness. All while she stands here, unmoving, and yet unforgotten. You place your hand gently on the base of the statue. The stone is cool, but not cold. It does not pull away. It allows your touch without question, like the earth permits the rain. You sit before her, cross-legged on the damp grass. A single drop of dew falls from her wing. Maybe someone walks this path every year on the same night, placing a small white pebble at her base. The trees behind her shift, not with sound, but with presence, like they're leaning in. It lands on your hand and slides away without a sound. You look up again. Beneath her left hand, just at the base of the statue, a name is etched into the stone, as if that's all that needed remembering. You whisper it aloud, barely. The name feels right in the mouth, soft on the tongue, warm in the chest. You lean back on your hands and close your eyes. But the angel doesn't change. The damp grass pulls softly at your legs, but lets you go. It's not the stern beauty of marble statues or cathedral carvings. It's a face soft by silence, by waiting, by years of knowing nothing needs to be said. The ground beneath you is wet with dew but forgiving. You imagine the years she's seen. Rain soaking her stone shoulders, snow clinging to her feet, leaves brushing past her fingers in autumn winds. Perhaps someone comes here still, leaves flowers when no one is looking, speaks her name to the fog. And though you leave her behind, her image lingers in your thoughts, not like a photograph, but like a sound you can still hear in the hush. But it doesn't matter. She remembers herself, and now, so do you. The grass sways slightly, stirred by a breeze too soft to feel, and still she sleeps. You find your body slowing even more, your breath deeper, not tired, just quiet, like your bones are remembering how to rest. You open your eyes once more and study her face. There's something about the line of her jaw, the curve of her lips, a face that is not watching over you, but keeping you company. You reach into your pocket and find the feather you took earlier, black, dewy, delicate. You set it down at her feet, not as an offering, just as a sign that you were here, that you saw her, that you too are learning how to be still. A bird calls once from somewhere beyond the trees, just once, then silence. A cloud passes over the moon. The light fades to silver. You rise gently, stretching your arms without hurry. You step backward a few paces and give her one last look. She stands there, unmoved, still, but not alone. Stone angel, sleeping still. The sky begins to fall softly, not with thunder or wind, but with a quiet, steady rain. It isn't heavy, it doesn't rush. It arrives like a hush across the landscape, soaking the world in a shimmer of gray and silver. Each raindrop feels deliberate, gentle, almost shy, as it touches your shoulders and glides down your sleeves. You lift your face to the sky. Cool droplets kiss your cheeks and fall into your eyelashes. The air smells suddenly rich, of earth, of rain-darkened bark, of something older rising from the soil, like memory loosening from its roots. You walk on. The graveyard absorbs the rain in silence. Grass darkens. Stones glisten. Every sound is muffled beneath the patter of droplets, like whispers beneath a heavy blanket. And then you see them, candles, flickering faintly in the mist. Small, steady flames, tucked into little alcoves, balanced atop mossy ledges, resting at the bases of old stones. At first, just one or two, then more. A path of light through the rain. You step closer, your own reflection swimming in each puddle as you pass. The candles do not waver, though the rain drips steadily from the branches above. The candle ignites. He places the jar down as if it weighs 1,000 things. Each one glows with a quiet insistence, not brash, not bright. Present, you wonder who would light candles in the rain. His shoulders curve like he's holding something invisible, and in one hand he cradles a box. And then you see him. You feel it in the way he shifts slightly, just enough to make room for your presence. Each flame is coaxed into life, then placed with reverence. There's no rush, no urgency, just quiet purpose, like someone who's done this before many times. His coat drips quietly, shoulders wet with rain. Yet he doesn't seem bothered by the water or the cold, as if the act of lighting each flame is warmth enough. A figure at the far end of the path, hunched, slow, dressed in a long coat, the color of ash. He kneels before a gravestone you can't yet read, shielding a new flame with his palm. The rain continues to fall, but the candles don't die. Their jars protect them, or perhaps it's something more. You strike a match and shelter it from the wind, like he does. The tiny flame dances. You place the jar gently on the ground. He does not look up. His voice is low and graveled, like it has learned to speak only when it must. You approach without sound. The rain softens every step. He lights another and another. His movements are slow, not from age, but from ritual. Each match is struck with care, but I've done it every year. Same night, you stop a short distance away. He doesn't speak. Neither do you. but he knows you're there. The candlelight flickers across his face, lines carved by time and weather, eyes dark but calm, a beard trimmed close, speckled with gray. You kneel beside one of the unlit candles. The candle inside bobs slightly, but doesn't extinguish. Your hand hovers for a moment. The rain slips from your fingertips. He nods once, still silent. Even if they vanish, even if they're remembered only by the rain, no name, just the flame. The two of you light the last few together. His eyes scan the line of lights one more time. Then he nods to you. Just once. A dozen flames now glow in a soft arc, puddles around them reflecting the light like small, shallow stars. You sit back on your heels. The man breathes slowly. Then, finally, he speaks. Even now, they stay lit, he says. Even in the rain, they always do. You don't answer. Not yet. He doesn't mind the silence. They say it's impossible, he murmurs, almost to himself. He doesn't say who they are. He doesn't need to. His eyes rest on a single stone, unremarkable, except for a small carving near the base. You glance at the other stones nearby. Some are weathered blank. Others have symbols, birds, keys, feathers, hands, but no words. Names fade. The man says, but not light. Not if you give it something to hold on to. He reaches into his coat and pulls out a tiny bundle wrapped in waxed cloth. Inside are more matches, dry, perfectly preserved. Every flame, he says, is a way back. Not for them, for us. You nod. Not in agreement, like a bell rung once, in shared rhythm. The man leans forward, adjusting one of the jars that's listing to one side. They'll be gone by morning, he says. Snuffed out, disappeared, always are. You want to ask why he still does it? But the answer hangs between you already. Because some things should be done, even if no one sees them. You stand. He does too, slowly, joints creaking like wet wood. No farewell. He walks away into the fog, boots quiet, coat trailing a dark ribbon of water behind him. The mist swallows him gently. You stay a little longer. The candles flicker in the gray. 12 steady stars, warm against the damp. And when you finally turn to walk again, you feel the warmth behind you linger, soft against your back, as if someone is lighting the way forward. The rain has faded. It left behind a gleam on every surface, on stones and grass, on branches and bark. The air feels rinsed, cool and round in your lungs, like something freshly unwrapped. Above you, the clouds drift apart slowly, revealing slivers of dark sky veined with stars. You follow a path now softened with mud, your footsteps nearly silent. Even the gravel has gone quiet underfoot, and then, ahead, rising like a dark silhouette against the horizon, you see the elm. It stands alone at the crest of a gentle hill, its limbs wide and gnarled, as if it grew not just to reach the sky, but to hold it in place. Its bark is rough and furrowed, silvered in the moonlight, with deep grooves that seem like writing etched by wind. You approach. As you draw closer, the ground becomes still, quieter somehow, as though the very soil has grown reverent. The elm spreads its branches outward, not in threat, but in embrace, like arms long practiced in the art of shelter. At its roots lies a single grave, small and modest, with a flat stone half sunken into moss. The name is gone. Only a date remains, 1874. You sit. The earth here is soft, pillowed with years of fallen leaves and rain-fed roots. Above you, the elm rustles not wildly, not urgently, just enough to speak. You don't know how you know it, but you do. The sound of the leaves isn't random, and it isn't wind, it's language. A gentle, old one, wordless and patient. A whisper. You close your eyes and lean your back against the thick trunk. It holds you firmly, like a long-lost friend. The whisper continues, barely a sound, more a feeling that reaches the hollows of your ears and the deeper parts of your chest. It's not asking, not warning, not calling you away. It simply is. A companion. You listen, and the more you do, the more it feels familiar. Not the message itself, but the way it moves, like the voice of someone you once knew well. Someone you may have never met, and yet missed for years. A mother maybe, a sibling, a version of yourself long buried under lists and clocks and noise. There's no story to be told here, no tragedy, no ending. Just a whisper that remembers you. Above, the branches curve over your head like a cathedral dome. Moonlight dapples through in sleepy patches. You can hear your own breath mingling with the rhythm of leaves. Inhale, exhale, whisper, pause. A name floats to the edge of your thoughts. You don't know why. It arrives like steam curling from a teacup. Elzen. You don't say it aloud. You don't need to, but you know it belongs here. Like a seed once planted, waiting for someone to remember the shape of its leaves. Your hand rests gently against the moss-covered stone. It's cool and slightly damp, but welcoming. Time has pressed it low, but not forgotten it. The elm knows. You think of what it's seen, how many springs it has watched unfurl, how many winters it has stood with arms full of snow. You wonder if it remembers every voice that once passed. Beneath it, every dream that curled into its bark, every tear that fed its roots, and maybe every whisper that never made it out of someone's mouth. Maybe this is where whispers go when they're lost. You lie down, the hill cradles your back. Leaves and roots rise softly beneath your spine. The stars above begin to shimmer brighter. Now, no longer hidden, but unveiled gently, like secrets given only to those who waited through the rain. The elm stirs again. Its whisper now is slower, deeper. Not louder, just more present. You feel it through your bones, through the ground beneath your ribs. Not a sound anymore, a vibration. A hum, and still, it does not ask anything of you. Not to believe, not to remember, not even to stay. It simply welcomes. A breeze passes through the hollow of the branches and touches your face like breath. You turn your head slightly and notice something just beyond the grave. A small object tucked beneath a root. You reach for it. A stone, smooth and pale, with a circle etched on one side. Inside the circle, a spiral. The lines are faint but sure, drawn by a steady hand. You turn it in your palm. It feels warm. It feels known. You place it back. Whatever it means, it belongs here, with the roots and the whisper and the moss. You sit up slowly. The elm rustles once more. It's not goodbye, not even farewell. It's thank you. You rise to your feet, brushing a few damp leaves from your clothes. The hill is quiet again, but not empty. The whisper lingers in the back of your mind, not words, not melody, just a presence, steady and gentle, as you walk down the hill. You feel it at your back, not watching, not waiting, just blessing. And when the path bends away from the elm, you know it will still be whispering, long after your footsteps have gone. The path leads you now through the older part of the graveyard. The stones here lean farther, crack deeper, sink more heavily into the earth. Some are broken, their tops split like cracked porcelain. Others lie flat, half swallowed by grass. The edges hidden beneath years of growing things, and on many of them, the names are gone. The rain has smoothed them slowly, tenderly, as if brushing the faces of the departed, until only silence remains. Where once there were letters, now there are faint shadows, barely traces. Still, you stop before each one. You tilt your head, run your fingertips lightly across the cool, damp surface. Try to make out a curve of an M, the hint of a J, the tail of a year. Sometimes you think you can, but mostly you cannot. And still they speak, not in voices, not even in memory, but in presence. Each unnamed stone holds a quiet weight, a kind of hush that feels full, not empty, as if the lack of a name isn't forgetting, but forgiveness. As if to lose a name is not to vanish, but to return. You kneel at one. The moss is thick here, velvety green, growing right into the hollow of the engraving. You brush it aside gently, like lifting a curtain from a sleeping face, but no letters are left, only the shape of them. Still, you feel something familiar rise inside your chest. A warmth that doesn't come from memory, but from recognition without knowing why. A feeling that perhaps you knew this person once, or that they knew you. Not in this life, maybe, but in the gentle place where stories begin before they're written. You say nothing, but you stay for a moment longer. The wind moves past your shoulders and settles again. The air smells of wet leaves and earth, but beneath that, something softer, like old linen or the pages of a forgotten book. You rise and walk onward. One by one, the nameless stones line the path. Some are so weathered they look like nothing at all, just lumps of stone, caught between shape and memory. But still, you feel them. They do not ask for names. They do not ask to be known. They only ask to be seen. So you look, you touch, you walk slowly. You do not rush. You think of how names once held everything. A person's laughter, the weight of their hand, the sound of their footsteps on wooden stairs. You think of how all of it was pressed into a few lines on a stone. And now, even those lines are gone. But somehow, the essence remains, like music long faded, still echoing in the bones of a piano. You reach a wide, flat stone, no taller than your ankle, completely bare, and you lie down beside it, not out of fatigue, but out of reverence. The sky above you stretches long and soft, a quiet gray blue with threads of white cloud like drifting lace. You breathe in slowly. The stone at your side presses coolly against your arm, and you begin to imagine the person who once rested beneath it. You don't see their face. You don't know their name, but images flicker softly behind your eyelids. A hand tying back hair, a spoon stirring gently in a cup, a laugh that came from the belly, not the throat. Bare feet on a wooden floor, the sound of humming, not a tune. You know, but one that rocks in rhythm with your breath. You open your eyes, nothing has changed, and yet, you feel full. The person is still unknown to you. But somehow, they are no longer unnamed. You sit up slowly, brushing dew from your shoulder. The grave beside you says nothing, but you nod to it anyway, as if to say, I see you, you are still here. As you walk again, you wonder, will your own name fade one day? Will it wear away beneath rain and years and wind? Yes, of course it will. And somehow, that feels comforting, because in the end, names are only the first thing we give each other. What matters remains long after, in gestures, in echoes, in the way the grass leans toward the place someone once stood. You reach the end of the row, and from somewhere beyond, you hear a soft bell. Just once it rings, not to call, not to mourn, but to mark the moment, as if to say, you remembered, even if you never knew. The path narrows now, almost vanishing beneath a tangle of vines and bramble. You slow your pace, duck beneath a low-hanging branch. The leaves brush your shoulders, cool and damp with the memory of rain. The air here is sweeter, tinged with the green scent of overgrowth, of life wrapped quietly around what was left behind. To your right, a crumbling stone wall snakes through the underbrush. Not tall, just enough to mark a boundary between then and now. You follow it, fingers tracing the uneven top, feeling where the stones have shifted over time. Then you see it. A seam in the ivy, a small opening, barely wide enough to step through. You hesitate, not out of fear, but from something softer, the way one might pause before stepping into a memory, or a dream. You slip through and find yourself inside a garden. Not grand, not tended, but alive. A circle of space tucked beneath trees, overgrown but breathing, the ground thick with moss, vines curling along what once may have been hedges, or perhaps gravestones. The ivy has climbed everything, wrapping the forgotten. In green dot you move carefully. Tiny flowers push their heads through the moss, pale, delicate, nearly translucent. They bloom not for show, but for peace. White, violet, soft blue, moonlit colors, and then you notice them, stones, not tall, not lined in rows, but scattered, small, hidden. Some are no larger than books, others round like river stones, with faint carvings worn almost invisible. The ivy grows around them, not over, as if it, too, remembers who lies beneath. You crouch by one. A faint star is carved at the center. No name, no number, just the symbol. You brush the moss away gently. It clings like velvet. Beneath it, the stone is warm from where the light touches it through the trees. A sound interrupts the stillness, not loud, just soft. A rustle, you look up. A cat, sitting quietly on a flat stone a few feet away. Black, with white paws and amber eyes. It watches you with no fear, no urgency. It blinks once, slowly, then settles its body into a curled loaf, tail tucked neatly beneath. You smile, without meaning to. The cat does not move. It is not asking anything of you. It is simply with you, And suddenly, the garden doesn't feel forgotten anymore. It feels kept, not by people, but by time, by ivy, by the cat, by the rain. You sit beside one of the wider stones. It's worn smooth, no markings now, only shape. Your hand rests on the top of it, and the moss is soft beneath your fingers, like a patch of cloud caught. In the earth above, the wind stirs the leaves gently. Light filters down in broken pieces, dappling your arms and the ground around you. A breeze stirs through the garden, slow and circular, like breath. You inhale with it, and in that moment, you feel the weight of many things, not heavy, but deep. This place is not for the world, not for those who rush or search or chase. This is a place for things that pause, for sighs, for glances, for names that were once spoken at bedtime and now sleep beneath ivy. The cat lifts its head slightly, then stretches, arching its back in slow motion. It steps from stone to stone with practiced grace, tail held high. It walks past you, so close you could touch it. You don't dot it, pauses by the stone with the star, rests there for a moment, then vanishes through another seam in the vines. You stay longer than you meant to. You close your eyes and feel your heart beat slow, not from sleep, but from settling, from being in a place where nothing is asked of you. A small bird calls somewhere above, a trill, barely there, cunt, and the ivy rustles once, then falls still. You open your eyes and rise gently. You do not say goodbye to the garden. It would be too loud. Instead, you brush your hand once more across the moss, then slip quietly through the green seam from which you entered. Behind you, the ivy draws closed again. The garden disappears into the breath of the forest, hidden once more, but not forgotten. The sky has turned to ink, not black, not heavy, but soft, like dusk spilled across a page. The stars blink faintly overhead, dimmed behind a wash of thin cloud. The moon, round and distant, rides low among the branches, as if following you from behind. The path has widened again. Stone markers line the way in even rows, more upright here, more orderly, but the quiet remains the same, a hush that stretches in all directions, wrapping your thoughts in layers of calm. And then, something changes. You feel it before you see it. A space ahead that feels different, not colder, not darker, just hollow. You walk slowly toward it. There is a patch of ground just beyond a pair of tall pines, open, circular, ringed with flat stones that rise only slightly from the grass. And at the very center stands a single grave, unremarkable at first glance. Gray stone, upright, clean edges. No ivy, no moss, no flowers. But as you draw near, you notice something. There is no shadow, not beneath it, not beside it, not anywhere. The moonlight touches everything around it, the pine trunks, the grass, even your own figure, casting long, quiet silhouettes in silver. But the grave at the center stands untouched. You tilt your head, step slightly to one side, then the other. Still no shadow. The air here is perfectly still, not silent, but waiting. The kind of pause that comes not from absence, but from reverence, like a held breath before a name is spoken. You approach the stone. It bears a single inscription. I waited, 2 words, nothing else. You run your fingers along the carving. The letters are deep, smooth, freshly etched, but the stone is old, much older. The grass around it is dense and well-worn, but there are no footprints, no signs of recent passage. You take a slow breath and sit beside it. The absence of a shadow feels less eerie now, and more peaceful, as if this grave has no need for one. As if the life that once filled it left nothing behind to weigh it down. No bitterness, no fear, no clinging, just patience. You lie back on the grass, your own shadow curves beside you, long and soft against the ground. You stare upward through the canopy of the pines, where the sky trickles through in pale gray veins. I waited. You think about the ways we all wait, for words, for forgiveness, for a return that never comes. For sleep, you wonder who this person was, the one who waited long enough to write it into stone, and whether their waiting ever ended, or simply changed shape. A breeze stirs, moving gently through the ring of trees, and for a moment, you feel that perhaps the grave is still waiting, not in sadness, not in longing, but in grace. Not expecting anything more, just resting where it always has. Free from the weight of wanting. You place your hand on the grass beside the stone. It feels warm, the earth is soft, the moment softer, the breeze stirs again. A leaf tumbles lazily from one of the pines above, landing beside your arm. You watch it settle, then close your eyes. The grave is still there beside you, but it casts no shadow, and now you understand it doesn't need one, because whatever passed through this life, sorrow, joy, silence, love has all been lifted. Gently, without resistance, returned to the sky, to the soil, to the stars above. What remains here is not the weight of a life, but the lightness of its letting go. You rise slowly, the grass springs back behind you. You press your hand once more to the stone, just for a moment. The inscription holds your gaze. I waited, and then, without speaking aloud, you answer, I see you. You step away. Your own shadow follows, quietly stretching behind you, but the grave remains as it was, still, present, and free of everything but peace. The night deepens. It is the kind of dark that carries no threat, just a gentle thickening of the air, like velvet being drawn across a window pane. Sounds have grown fewer now, as though even the trees have fallen into a hush. The world around you feels slower, softened by distance. Ahead, the ground rises slightly, a gentle hill with sparse grass and bare trees that reach upward like slow dancing shadows. You walk toward them, breath steady. The trunks are pale in the moonlight, smooth in some places, knotted in others. Most are without leaves, as though winter still lives in their bones. And yet, they are not lifeless. You see it as you come closer, hanging from the branches lanterns. Dozens of them, some made of glass, others of weathered tin or brass. A few crafted of woven reeds, fragile as lace. Each is different, each suspended by a length of twine or ribbon, gently swaying in the night breeze. Their glow is soft, not bright, not blinding, just warm enough to notice golden in some, amber in others, even faint hues of blue and green that flicker like candlelight remembered. From a dream, you step beneath them. They sway above your head like stars that chose to hang closer to earth. The wind stirs them in slow rhythm, and their light winks gently against the bark, casting dappled pools of gold across the ground. None of the lanterns touch each other, none make a sound, and yet their presence fills the space completely. A canopy of light among the bare branches. It feels like walking through a memory of summer fireflies, or the hush of a festival long since ended. There are no people here, no signs of who hung them, or when, but you can feel the care, the thought behind each one, in the way they're balanced, in the choice of color, in the knots tied just so. Some have tiny charms looped into the strings. One has a pressed flower sealed inside its glass. Another holds a folded scrap of paper, its writing too faded to read. You pause beneath one shaped like a teardrop. Its light flickers a soft rose gold, steady as a heartbeat. You wonder, are these for the dead, or for the living who need to remember them? You look around. Each tree holds only a few lanterns, never crowded, never forced. There is space between them, like breath between words and a poem. You continue walking slowly through the grove. A lantern swings gently as you pass, casting your shadow long and soft across the ground. It flickers once, then calms. You find a bench, simple, wooden, weathered to gray. You sit. The wind sighs through the trees, stirring the ribbons, making them flutter like gentle exhalations. Some twine has frayed, some lanterns have dimmed, but none have gone out. Not yet. You lean back and close your eyes. Above, the lights dance behind your lids like drifting stars. Not too close, not too far, just right. And you begin to wonder, who were the first to hang them? Were they marking a loss, or lighting a path? Were the lanterns promises, reminders, prayers? Or maybe they weren't for anyone. Maybe they were just offerings. Soft declarations into the dark. I'm still here. You mattered. I remember. A twig snaps lightly somewhere to your left. You turn, slowly, but no one's there, only the wind, passing through the grove, and a single lantern, now swinging, slightly harder than the others. You smile, you understand. This place is not for answers. It is for presence, for remembering not what happened, but that something did. You reach into your pocket. You have nothing prepared, no offering, no candle, no written note, only a small ribbon from your coat, fraying at one edge. You stand, reach up carefully, and tie it to the branch of the nearest tree. It flutters once, catching the golden light. It doesn't say anything, it doesn't need to. You take one last look at the grove, the empty trees now full of glow, the ground stitched with warmth, the silence ringing with unseen memory, and then you walk on. The light behind you flickers one more time, then settles. Lanterns, swaying gently above the earth, hanging for someone, for no one, for anyone who needs a little light in the dark. You follow the path as it curves downward. The air grows cooler here, not with chill, but with depth, the kind of quiet that thickens as you descend. The wind is no longer above you, but around you, brushing the edges of the stone steps like a whisper remembering its way home. To your left, the slope is carved gently with moss-lined ledges. To your right, a low stone wall guides your way, its surface damp with age, its top brushed with fallen pine needles. And then, ahead, a crypt, small square, half sunken into the hill, as though it never quite decided whether it belonged above ground or below. Its roof is covered with soil and creeping roots. The door is thick iron, dark with time, but it is open, not ajar. Open. You hesitate, listening. There is no sound, no movement, only an invitation made of stillness. You step inside. The air changes, denser but not heavy. It smells of dust and stone, and something else, not decay, but preservation. The smell of pages kept in darkness, of stories that never left. The interior is simple. Stone walls, a vaulted ceiling, a small alcove with 3 unmarked urns, and in the center, resting atop a block of black marble, lies an old book, the ledger. Its cover is worn leather, cracked in places, curled slightly at the corners. But it is intact. You approach slowly, your footsteps echo, faint but certain. The silence here is not empty. It listens. You reach the book and place a hand upon it. It is warm, not with fire, but with something else, like sun once touched it. And the memory still lingers in its spine. You open the cover. The pages are thick, parchment-colored, filled with line after line of handwritten names. Each one penned in careful script. No dates, no epitaphs, just names, and beneath each name, a single sentence. A memory you read the first. Elias Merith always left the last plum for someone else. You smile the next. Wren Holloway hummed, too, the bees in summer. Then another, Callum Bright, never returned a borrowed book without adding a note between the pages. You keep reading, not fast, not skimming. Each line deserves breath. They are not histories, they are gestures, habits, quiet kindnesses, the things no one writes on a tombstone, but which make up the heart of a life. One name, one sentence. Ela. Fenn slept with one hand open, as though holding a dream. Jonas Vale always walked the long way home in spring, just to smell the lilacs. Your eyes begin to soften. The entries continue. Pages and pages. Some names repeat, generations perhaps, or stories continued by different hands. You run your fingers down one. Open page and find a gap. A blank line. The ledger is still being written. You look around the crypt. There's no pen, no ink. But somehow, you know, this book is not for writing with hands. It writes what is remembered by others, by time, by wind. You wonder if your own name might one day appear, and what line would follow. Would it be something small? Something no one else saw, but someone felt. You close the book gently, not from fear, but reverence. The lid presses shut with a quiet sigh, like breath behind a closed door. You stand for a moment in the hush, hands resting on the leather cover, and you whisper very softly, "Thank you." You do not know to whom, to the writer, to the remembered, to the quiet place that holds such things. Outside, the stars have shifted slightly in the sky. You notice the way the door to the crypt has no lock, only a stone to keep it from drifting in the wind. You replace the stone gently, not to close anything out, just to give the silence its rest. You step away, and as you walk up the path once more, the cold fades from your fingertips, replaced by the warmth of remembered names. You've lost track of time, not in the way hours slipped past in daylight, not with clocks or minutes or lists left unfinished, but in the way dreams stretch wide, like ribbon unspooled in the dark. You don't know how long you've been walking, only that it feels like always, and only just begun. The sky above is fully dark now. The stars are sharp again, not cold, but clear, like pinpricks in soft velvet. The moon is lower, silver at the edges, and the wind has gone quiet. Even your footsteps feel muffled now, as though the earth itself has grown sleepy. Then, a sound, soft, distant. A single chime. You stop. It isn't a sound made by accident, not a branch creaking or a gate shifting. It is deliberate, weighted with memory, the kind of sound that hangs in the air after it's gone, like the scent of something familiar. Another chime, then silence, then another. You turn toward the source, guided more by instinct than direction. The sound doesn't grow louder, it waits for you, spaced gently apart, like breath between heartbeats. You find the path narrowing again, lined by low hedges and flat-topped stones. Your hands brush their tops as you walk, and soon you come to a clearing. A small bell tower stands in the center, no taller than a tree, built from weathered stone, its edges softened by time. 4 arched openings near the top reveal the bell, small, dark, unmoving, but it rings again, though it does not swing. You step closer, and the air here feels different, thinner, yet full, like the space between waking and sleep. The ground is scattered with leaves, undisturbed. No footprints, no signs of anyone else, and yet, the bell rings again. A clear, low tone, not heavy, not warning, not calling, just present. You stand beneath the tower and look up. The bell doesn't move, but the sound continues slow, single chimes every few moments, spaced like the ticking of something, older than time. You wonder if it's really sound at all, or memory made audible. You sit cross-legged on the stone steps, letting the bell ring above you. Shito. The vibrations roll down your spine and settle into your breath. You begin to notice a pattern. Each ring matches something, a shift in the stars, the passing of a cloud, the rustle of air through the distant trees. It is not counting, it is marking moments, not for you, not for anyone living, for them, for the ones who sleep. A chime sounds, and in its wake, you feel something pass, not a presence, not a ghost, just recognition. A name without a voice. A life brushing past your shoulder in silence. You do not move, you simply listen. More bells join now, faint ones far away, from other parts of the graveyard perhaps, or from the folds of memory itself. Each chime is different, some low and soft, some light, barely there. One sounds like a bell made of bone, one like a breath caught in wind. They do not harmonize. They do not clash. They ring in their own time. You sit for a long while, letting each chime roll over you like waves. No fear, no urgency, only the knowing that something is and has been and continues. Then, slowly, the bells begin to fade, one by one, until only the first remains. That small bell above you, it chimes once more, and then, silence. You look up again. The moonlight rests on the curve of the bell, like a closing eye. The tower stands still. But something in the air has changed. A chapter has ended. Not for you, for someone else. You rise slowly, your limbs relaxed, weighted in a comforting way, as if the sound has settled inside your bones and found a place to rest. You touch the stone base of the tower before leaving. It hums faintly beneath your palm, like a heart remembering a lullaby. You walk away with the silence now stretched behind you, not empty, but full of everything the bells had to say, even if you cannot name it. The path slopes upward again. Gravel gives way to packed earth, and the trees grow dense once more, their branches stitching overhead in slow arching patterns. You walk in silence, your breath in rhythm with the quiet rise and fall of the land, and then, through the trees, you see it. A house, small square, built from old stone, the color of dusk. It sits alone on a flat stretch of ground, surrounded by no fence, no gate. Only the woods and the air. And the hush, it has no windows, not even where they once might have been. Only a heavy wooden door at the front, sealed shut with a rusted iron latch. The roof is steep, blanketed in moss. A single chimney rises from the back, unbroken and still. You stand at the edge of the clearing. The house does not ask you to come closer, and yet, you do. Your footsteps are muffled in the soft grass. The air is colder here, but not sharp. More like the chill of deep water, not threatening, but complete. You reach the front of the house and rest your hand on the stone. It's cool, dry, still, and though it has no windows, you feel it watching you, not with eyes, not with judgment, just with presence. There is a kind of awareness in the walls, not alive in the way breath is, but alive in the way a song is. Long after the singer has gone, you step to the side of the house and find a narrow trail curving gently around it. The grass here is slightly worn, as though someone or something has walked this path many times. You follow it around the back. A small garden grows in quiet disorder. Moonflowers, pale herbs, ivy that loops in soft spirals up the stone, and in the center, a chair, wooden, empty, facing the house, not a bench, not a place for gathering, a place for waiting. You sit, the chair creaks softly beneath you, but holds your weight. The scent of crushed mint drifts through the air. A bird calls once, then goes silent again, and the house watches. You do not look for windows. You don't need to. You feel the watcher from inside, not peering, not hiding, just being, a quiet, unseen presence that has never left. You wonder who or what might be inside, a keeper of names, a guardian of forgotten stories, or perhaps no one at all, just the memory of someone who watched once and still lingers. You close your eyes. You imagine the house long ago, maybe when it was first built. Was it ever full of voices, or was it always meant to be silent? Did someone sit in this garden once, in this same chair, whispering stories to the wind? Did they wait for someone to return, or did they simply watch until the watching became part of the stone itself? You open your eyes. The house has not moved, but the light has shifted slightly, a hush of silver sliding across the moss. A shadow passes across the door. Just once, not quickly, but gently. You feel no fear, only stillness, only the sense that someone or something is still watching. Not from behind the door, not from the chimney, from within the house itself, from its walls, its bones, and somehow, it watches not only you, but everything. The trees, the stars, the roots beneath your feet. It watches not with wanting or loneliness, but with care, like someone who agreed to hold the night in place while the world sleeps. You rise from the chair, and nod once toward the blank stone face, and for a heartbeat. You think you feel it nod back. You walk slowly around the side of the house, returning to the front. The door is still closed, the latch untouched, but you don't need to go inside. You already have, and as you turn to leave the clearing, you feel the house behind you still and silent, and watching, not guarding anything, not waiting for anything, just being the house with no windows that never sleeps. You wander now through the older paths. On either side, the stones are smaller, closer together, as if the past once pressed tightly to the earth. The grass here is dry and faded, the soil a soft gray-brown beneath your steps. A low fog has begun to settle, not thick but laced gently around the edges of the graves. Like the hem of a gown trailing behind time, there's a hush in the air, not heavy, not empty, just soft like a library just before closing. Like the final page of a letter, held too long in quiet hands, you follow a narrow path to the right, where the trees grow thinner, the sky above showing more stars between their branches. Moonlight drapes the world in long pale ribbons, and then you see her, not clearly, but clearly enough, a small figure, seated on the ground before a wide slab of stone, her back curved forward, head bowed in concentration. She is drawing with one hand in the dust, using a twig or perhaps her finger to trace lines. You don't move, you simply watch. Her hair is long and loose, like strands of dark water falling over her shoulders. Her clothes are soft, simple, timeless. She seems neither child nor adult, just a presence that belongs here, as natural as the wind through leaves. She doesn't notice you, or perhaps she does, but chooses not to startle the stillness. You step closer, slowly. When you near the edge of the grave, she turns slightly, just enough for you to see the corner of her face. Not fully, just a cheek, a glance, eyes that do not meet yours, but do not shy away either. Then she gestures gently downward to her map. You kneel beside her. Drawn in the dust is a strange, winding shape, part path, part spiral, part constellation. It's not a map of roads or rivers, not one made to follow in a hurry. It's a memory, you can feel it. She has traced the place as she knows it. This graveyard, this realm of sleep, not by structure, but by feeling. Where the wind shifts, where the elm whispers, where the bell rings after midnight, where names wear away, but do not disappear. You recognize pieces of it, not the lines, but the sensations beneath them. She draws another path, this one looping back to where you've come from, touching the grave with no shadow, brushing the lantern trees, then curling in on itself again, and then she stops. The twig or her finger rests at the center of a spiral. She draws a tiny mark, a star. You don't ask what it means, but you know. This is where she returns, always. The heart of the map, not a place, a feeling, a breath, a stillness. She smooths the lines slightly with her palm, as if blessing them, as if whispering, "This will do." And then she rises. Dust clings lightly to her knees, her hands. She brushes none of it away. She looks at you now fully. Briefly, her eyes are not old, nor young, they are familiar. And then she walks away. Not quickly, not mysteriously, just as if she knows where to go. The fog parts around her. Her form grows dimmer, then softer, then gone. You are left kneeling beside the map. The dust is already shifting in the breeze. One edge of the spiral blurs. A star smudges faintly. But you know it will not vanish entirely. You sit beside it, and you draw. To knot from memory, dot from feeling. A line toward the elm. A curl where the bells sang. A soft X for the garden beneath the ivy. You add one more spiral, not large, just enough to say, "I was here, the wind lifts a few grains of dust into the air. The grass bends lightly, and from somewhere deeper in the earth, you feel the map settling, as if the land remembers what the girl has drawn, and what you have added, and promises to keep it. You rise. The path ahead is quiet, but no longer uncertain. And somewhere you imagine her, the girl with dusty fingers, drawing again, even now, in places you've yet to reach. The night is very still now. Even the wind seems to be resting, its breath folded neatly beneath the branches. The path has softened into earth once more, no longer gravel, no longer marked. It winds gently through low grass and pale, sleeping flowers, the kind that bloom only in silence. You walk slowly, and soon, you reach a field, wide, unfenced, untouched. There are no markers here, no stones, no gates, no flowers placed with purpose. Just land open, quiet, low-lit by starlight and the faint silver of a waning moon. And yet, you know this is not empty ground. This is a resting place. You feel it as you step forward, that hum beneath your feet, the subtle give of the soil, the slight dip of the earth as if it has cradled something gently for a very long time. There are no names carved here, but they are here. The ones whose names were never written, the ones who came and went, in silence, or in secret, or in sorrow. The ones lost to time, to tide, to flame, to forgetting, but not to nothing. You sit down on the cool grass. There is no bench here, no path to follow, no stone to touch, only presence, and slowly, without sound, the field begins to speak, not in voices, not even in thoughts, but in feeling, a warmth near your shoulder, like someone sitting close by, a shiver of breeze, like a passing glance, a pressure in your chest, light and familiar, the feeling of hearing your name from someone who once loved you. Except here, there are no names, and still, you feel them, all of them. A seamstress who worked by candlelight until her fingers bled. A child whose name was whispered once and never again. A man who left flowers on a grave he was not allowed to visit. A woman who carved her hopes into wood and buried them by the river. They are here because someone remembered. Even if not with words, even if not with stone, they are held in the earth, in the tilt of the grass, in the hush of the air. Above them, you lie back. Your eyes trace the stars above, blinking faintly behind thin, drifting clouds. You breathe deeply, and the air feels full of old stories, not forgotten, only quiet. The field holds them like lullabies. You place your hand on the ground beside you, and you say, not aloud, but within, I will remember you, even if I never knew your name. And something in the soil sighs, not from sadness, from relief. You close your eyes, and in the dark behind your lids, you begin to see outlines. Not faces, but gestures, glimpses. A hand reaching toward light. A letter never sent. A song hummed while alone. You do not need to know who they were. You only need to witness that they were, that they lived, that they mattered, even if no stone ever said so. You rise slowly, brush the grass from your back. The field stretches gently behind you, holding all its unnamed lives in peace. You do not carve anything. You do not speak. You simply pause once more before stepping away, and in your leaving, you become part of the remembering. The path is almost gone now, not lost, just quiet. faded into moss and leaf and earth. It curves gently through a grove of willow trees. Their long, pale branches hang low, brushing the ground like fingertips, seeking something they used to hold. You move through them slowly. They part for you without resistance, whispering as they sway. Each step is quiet, cushioned in soft soil and green light. The air is still, not with absence, but with rest. It smells like water here, but there is no pond, no stream, only the feeling of rain that has not yet fallen, or perhaps has already come and settled deep into the ground. Then you see it. A small stone shelter, open on all sides. 4 worn pillars and a sloped roof of slate. Beneath it, a wide slab of stone shaped like a bench. At its foot, the soil is damp, dark, rich. This is where the rain waits when it's tired. You feel it, the moisture in the air, the hush, the sense that everything here has paused, not in sadness, but in surrender. You step beneath the roof. The bench is dry, smooth, a little warm from the air, as if the rain left part of itself behind. You sit and listen to everything too. Nothing. The grove is a cradle, a soft bowl of green. No birds sing now. No breeze stirs the leaves. The trees stand in still reverence, bowed but not broken. You exhale slowly, and the world does too. Here the rain is not falling, not yet. It is gathering, stretching, preparing, but without urgency. Rain has nowhere else to be. It comes when it's ready. It rests when it must. You close your eyes and imagine it waiting, like an old friend by a hearth. Its coat hung up, its voice quiet with peace, not sorrow, not absence, just stillness. The kind of stillness that comes at the very end of a thought, or the moment just before sleep. You feel a droplet touch your wrist, just one cool, round, gentle dot, then another, then 2 on your shoulder. But they are not hurried. They do not rush to fall. They arrive like blessings, like soft hands pressing into fabric, like the first notes of a song sung for no one. The leaves do not rustle. They receive you. Open your palms and let the rain find them. It is not cold, it is restful, a hush that becomes part of your breath, a rhythm that matches the slow drum of your heart. You do not want to leave, and you don't need to, because here, in this little shelter, there is no before, no after, only this, only the softest form of presence. You lean back, your head rests gently against the stone, and for a long moment, the rain and you are the same, simply here, simply breathing, simply being. You think of all the paths behind you, the names, the shadows, the bells, the quiet girl with her maps. You think of graves with no stones, of light strung in branches, of echoes that do not fade, and then you think of nothing, only rain, falling as it wishes, waiting as it must.